Hey there, everyone. That's the wrong view. Hey there, everyone. So great to be back with you for another Vibrant Music Teacher Chat. I'm so excited to be with you today and to dive into some of the group ideas that I've been doing in my online lessons, as well as answer any and all questions that you guys have that are live in the chat here. So this is a bit of a free-for-all day. I don't have a guest or anything like that. So please do add your highs, hellos, and your questions into the comments once you get here, because I want to help you out. I want to help you find the answers to the questions that are burning in your mind right now, or just the ponderings and wonderments about next year and what's coming up soon. If we haven't met before, my name's Nicola. I run a blog called Colourful Keys, and I have a membership site where I provide resources for online teaching, games, fun stuff, creative stuff, and overall creating a comprehensive curriculum that allows your students to succeed. So if you want to get access to VMT, Vibrant Music Teaching, right now, I have a special coupon for you right now, because I know we're all maybe feeling a little bit financially pinched or just a bit unstable and not sure about making new purchases. So the coupon code is online and you can grab membership at vibrantmusicteaching.com. Wanted to let you know about the schedule for these chats as well. We have them 3 times a week at the moment to keep you guys feeling connected with me and with each other, and continue to answer your questions and provide resources and inspiration for you. So that's Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. The times were just up on the screen. Those are in Dublin time, because if you're not aware, I am in Dublin, Ireland. You will need to look up the time in your time zone. Great to see a few of you already joining in here. Ken, great to see you here. Haven't seen you in a while. Carrie and Faye and Laurie, some of the regulars in the room. Great to have you guys here. I've been hearing from several of you that were on the live chat on Friday already that you're trying out the composition collaboration idea, which is just so cool, so fun for me, and fun for you and your students as well, I hope. But so fun for me to see you guys actually putting this into action. So if you didn't catch that chat, that was on Friday, that was our last one, you can go back and watch any of these chats at any time here on the Colourful Keys channel, and make sure to subscribe so that you get the latest ones as they come out in your YouTube feed. And by the way, while you're here, make sure to hit that like button, okay? Because that means that more teachers find out about these and get the free resources and ideas that we're sharing here on the chats and in the interviews that we're doing here. So make sure and hit like and add your questions into the comments as you come in. As I mentioned, we are talking about group online things today. Okay? So as soon as I started talking about the fact that I was going online, and it was towards sort of the early days of when people were, certainly China was ahead of us, and maybe some other countries were, but maybe Italy, but Ireland was fairly early on in the lockdown timeline. And so as soon as I started talking about this, people who were about to make this transition said, okay, yeah, what are you going to do about the groups? What are you going to do about the buddy lessons? Those were some of the first questions I got. And I didn't have a lot of answers because it was new, right? It was just happening to me and to you. And I wasn't sure. I knew I was going to try and do some fun stuff, but I didn't know. So the first thing I decided, and I actually debated this at the very start, I was talking to myself, probably out loud, talking to myself and trying to decide, am I even going to do buddy lessons, or am I just going to keep it simple? Because I was totally in stress mode in the first week, and I was thinking, or the days leading up to when our schools closed down anyway, and thinking, should I just be kind to myself in a way? Should I just not? Let's nod and say we did. Should I just not do buddy lessons and just keep it simple? Just, KISS. And I decided, no. I'm not going to keep it that simple. I'm going to be kind to myself, sure, but I want to do the buddy lessons. This is the challenge that I want to take on, right? Carrie said in the chat there, ha, that first week was terrible. Yeah, the first week was rough for all of us. And we're all settling in now. But thinking back to that first week, that was when I made this decision to go with buddy lessons. And so that was the first group thing that I decided to incorporate. I said to myself, no, we're going to do it. We're going to do the buddy lessons. And I'm just going to make it work. Basically, there do or don't, there is no try. So I decided my buddy student is going to arrive halfway through, and I'm going to have the overlapping. Sorry, I should step back. Some of you watching live may not know what I mean by buddy lessons, so let me explain that. Buddy lessons are the way I do most lessons in my studio. It is where I have two students. So I have one student, let's call them Sam. Sam arrives, and Sam stays with me for 30 minutes on their own. And then Georgie arrives, and Georgie stays with Sam together for another 30 minutes, so they overlap. And then Sam goes away, and Georgie stays for their solo time. So the lessons overlap in the middle. They each get an hour generally, and there's an overlapping portion in the middle where we work all together. And so I decided to keep this in my online lessons. And so I have one student arriving in the middle of the other student's lesson in the Zoom waiting room, and I let them in when we're ready. So, on time, but if my first student is in the middle of a piece or something, then I let them finish and I say, okay, now I'm letting in Georgie. And Georgie comes into the room, the Zoom room that is, and we have some time together. So, is anyone else trying this? Let me know. Is anyone else doing some kind of lesson like that where you have partners or buddies coming in together? I'd love to hear from you guys. What I've been doing with that time is, yes, some games. I've been using my surprise starters that I started putting together. And I've been doing the composing project, which I talked about on Friday. Now, I settled into that gradually, the buddy lessons, and then conveniently, how many weeks? 3 weeks or something? Yeah, after the first 3 weeks of online lessons, I had my Easter break, like already scheduled Easter break for my studio, 2 weeks off. And that's when I regenerated and got some of my creativity back. Like I was still doing creative things in lessons, but I wasn't really feeling it. And I got recharged during Easter break and started doing some more fun stuff from there. So a couple of weeks into the lessons was when I started the practice with pals sessions. Yeah, so it was after the Easter break. It's hard to track time at the moment, right? It was after the Easter break though. That's when I started my practice with pals sessions. And practice with pals are actual groups. Because normally I do group workshops with my students 4 times a year. And I had one coming up just after the Easter break. And so that's when I thought, okay, parents are not going to blame me or do anything if I cancel it. Like, they would not mind. I think sometimes teachers fret too much about what parents are thinking, and actually they're not thinking about us that much because they have a lot going on right now. And they're going to be pretty understanding if you have to cancel something like a group workshop and you don't replace it with anything. However, I thought it would be nice to replace it with something, to do something else instead, to bring my students together. And that's when I landed on this practice with pals idea. Just checking in with the chat there. I love the idea, but have gone from group face-to-face lessons to online one-to-one. I didn't think there was a workable system. For like a full group, I'm not sure for your regular lessons that it's super feasible. However, I mean, some teachers are experimenting with it and I think that's really fun. Totally no blame though for going to one-on-one lessons. You do what you need to do right now, right? Oh, Jacob, you have a buddy lesson that you kept. That's awesome. And Claire said, not buddy lessons like you, but I've grouped my siblings together so they can do duets, etc. Yeah, that's great to do. So these practice with pals sessions were my first real group experiment. I had my buddy lessons. I was fairly happy with what I was doing there, and I was glad to keep students together. And I was especially glad when I started hearing comments from parents saying that really meant, not every student, but for some of them, getting back to me and saying that really meant a lot to her to get to see you and her piano buddy. It restored some kind of normalcy, and she's been really stressed during this time, so thank you for doing that. And I thought, okay, this means something. Yes, it's just an online connection, but it's still an important one. It's still bringing people together. And so I decided to bring in these practice with pals group workshops. These are completely different to my regular group workshops. So my regular ones are, like my in-person ones, are up to 10 kids, obviously impossible right now, in my studio on a Sunday. So 10 kids at a time, maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more, but that's a maximum, sorry, not more than 10. And I do several of those sessions on a Sunday, and it's for performing together, playing games, and improvising in big ensembles. Obviously all impossible right now, and I wasn't going to attempt ensemble playing online. Not up for that challenge, thank you. So, those are on Sundays. I decided to bring in these new sessions during the week. Because it's all about, for me, it's all about thinking, what's something that we could do better right now? And something that's a benefit maybe for us right now is that kids are at home more. Yeah, that's not always an amazing thing. But for us, it means maybe they can be a little bit more flexible with when they're practicing. And I thought, okay, so that's something useful here. Maybe I can bring kids together to practice so that I can teach them effective practice strategies. Some kids, this accomplishes two things. Some of my students right now, they're practicing more than before. They have more time at home, they break up their schoolwork with practice, and they're even being assigned music assignments that they can kind of tie in and make a piano assignment with their schoolwork, so they get to show it off to their school friends or hand it in as homework. And that's all fab. So some of them are practicing more. Some are practicing way less. Yes, they're at home more, but they have no routine and they're finding it really tough, and they're down and they're stressed already and tensions are high, and you know, parents are getting in touch with me saying it just isn't going well right now. And of course I say, whatever, don't worry about it. Let them just sit at the piano and make up their own music for half an hour. I do not mind. These practice with pals sessions are good for both those students. Because for the students who are practicing more, I'm giving them strategies to make that practice really effective, and they're able to take that on board right now. For students who aren't practicing much, this is at least some practice during the week. And even more than that, it's about bringing kids together. Some of the kids in my studio need less screen time right now, and they're not suited to this. So I've made it very clear to parents that I am not putting any pressure on them to show up for these. They're totally optional. They're for the kids that want more connection, that would see the benefit in this, that would find this useful. They're not obliged to show up for these at any point, right? In any way. But what am I even talking about? What is practice with pals? Okay, so these are informal sessions, and they're 30 minutes. I do 2 sessions a week. This is what I've gradually landed on. 2 sessions a week. One is for 9 and under, one is for 10 and over. That's just a good breaking point in my studio in terms of the numbers. Any student can sign up for them. They have to sign up on my music staff. So they book their slot. There's not a huge demand for them. You know, it's just a few kids each week. They show up and it's very, very low key. I have 2 things I do in each of these sessions. Again, it's only 30 minutes, not a long time. 2 things I do. I teach them a new practice strategy and get them to try it out live on the call. And we play a game. The end. Simple. But for the students who do show up for this and who do want to do this, I can see the benefit to them. I can see what a difference it's making. And for me, that's worth it to keep going. So as long as a few students show up in each of these sessions, I'm keeping them up. I've said that to parents. Like, if people keep showing up, I'm going to keep doing these. I'll keep putting them in my music staff. Sign up for them if you want them. Right? No pressure, no worries if not, but they're there for you. And some parents have gotten back to me and said, yes, any opportunity to come together with peers is so appreciated. Thank you for doing that. Jacob, had you already planned that, or is that based on what I'm saying here? Jacob said, I will try a group practice session on Tuesday on Zoom. So tomorrow, Jacob, right? That's when my Practice Pals is this week, so we might be snapping a bit there. Okay, well, hopefully this will provide some inspiration for you, Jacob. This is what I do. I introduce them to a new practice strategy first. So the first week, this is the one I did. I called it Bat Bars. You don't need silly graphics. I'm just super silly and I like to have animals on my screen and kids get a kick out of it. Some suggestions if you can't do this, if you can't put up graphics on your screen, that take out some stuffed toys or animals or any stuff you have around your studio and use that. Just make it fun and silly. So Bat Bars was the first one. It's very simple. It's just play the last bar, the last measure, while looking at the music. Close your eyes, try and play it again. Open your eyes, play the second last bar. Close your eyes, try and play it again. Try and play the 2 bars. You get the idea? Okay? So they're stepping back away from the end and they're open eyes, closed eyes. The objective here is not to memorize it long term. It's just about short term memory work to sort of start to embed it in your brain. So that was the first strategy I taught them the first week. I had them try that out. I demonstrated it. We tried it together with a piece that I had up on screen, a very simple piece for everyone. And then I had each of them work on that with their own piece. So choose a piece that you're working on right now. They pick one out when they're reading, not working on by rote. And then they open it up and I say, okay, you need to do that. See how many bars, do that with the last bar, I think I said first. Put them on mute. Kept them in the room so I can see that they're doing it, but they're on mute and I can even, click around and organize stuff during that time. And then I unmute them, say, okay, any questions about that? How did it go? Talk about it a little bit. Then we try a few more bars with them on mute again. And then take them off mute and they play the section they were working on with their eyes closed for each other. So they're sharing with each other a little bit. They're seeing what each other's working on and that they're going through the same kind of struggles, that kind of thing. And then, and then we played a game. And the game is just an on-screen game. So how I play the games personally, so lots of teachers are doing this in Zoom using the stamps, the annotation feature and stamping on the boards. I have these little tokens. Oh, kids find this so funny. You ready for this? For some reason, it's hilarious to them when they're kind of in front of my face, when I accidentally do it this way, instead of having it in front of my screen, right? So I normally put them up like this, with my desktop here, and then I just have them pick the animals and I can take them out. Now this is all in Ecamm Live. You don't need this. You can just use the Zoom stamps. But this is the way I do it. I have my little animal tokens. They choose some, and then once they've chosen, we pop those onto the board. And the boards are all in Google Slides, and if I go full screen, those cards are animated. Right? So I click through and we're moving along and we play the game on screen. And that's it. That takes up half an hour. It's a great little practice session for them. They're reviewing some theory through the game. They're learning a new practice strategy that they can try during the week, and then they're connecting with each other. Laurie asked, is it rude to ask? It's not rude at all. No rude questions, Laurie. If Practice with Pals is part of your inclusive tuition, or is it an extra charge? It is part of my tuition. So the group workshops that I do 4 times a year, those are part of my tuition. And so I'm just offering this as an extra bonus right now. Yeah, it's more hours than my regular group workshops. No, I don't care. Not everything can be about business, you know? It's not a huge imposition. I have to consider what's the benefit versus the cost. Like, I am being sensible about it, but at the same time I think it's great to offer extra things right now if I can, and this is something that I could offer. Jacob asked, our sessions will be based on the teacher is there to answer questions, and at some point I will ask if students want to share what they were practicing on with others. Jacob, if I might make a suggestion, I would suggest that instead of saying, oh, would you like to share, make it sort of the default that they do share. Just if you want to encourage that, I would actually go around rather than just leaving it completely up to them and say, Anna, can you share a short piece of a piece that you're working on? And then Georgie, to use the example from earlier, can you share something? Just because otherwise the slightly shy kids won't volunteer for that, and they actually might have liked to share, but they're not going to speak up and wave their hand and say me. You know what I mean? Yes, awesome. Music tutor, you've never heard of Zoom stamps, so I can't demonstrate on a live call like this, but I'll describe it to you. When you share your screen in Zoom, assuming you do use Zoom, when you share your screen, there's an annotate menu. So it's up the top. If you can't see it, you need to go into the view and turn it on, basically. But up the top, there's an annotate area, and there's like a pen icon. And beside that, there's a stamps thing. So you just need to go into those tools and find them. You don't have to use the stamps. You could use the pen. But the stamps are handy because they're like a heart and a star. And you can just switch between them and use that as your game counter to move around on-screen games. If all of this sounds overwhelming to anyone who's watching, by the way, you can literally just pin a game board up and move around with pins or magnets on a magnetic board. You do not have to use on-screen versions of games to be able to play games in online lessons. You can absolutely do it with physical stuff. Cool, Janelle. I've been doing an optional Fun Friday game time the last few weeks. It's been fun to have the students get together. I love adding this extra piece to teach them practice strategy also. Yeah, it's been a fun experiment, you know. It's all an experiment right now, but it was something that's been very beneficial for the students who are not overwhelmed right now and are able to participate in stuff like this. I'm just being very cautious and careful about not pushing anything like this, and I would encourage you to do the same. That it's like, oh, this is a fun extra thing. If you want it, it's there. That's kind of the approach I'm taking, because I know parents right now, especially of younger students, can be so overwhelmed in either direction. They can be so overwhelmed as in we have so much to do and I can't possibly take this on, or they can be in a place where I need something for them to do, right? I need more stuff and this is great for me. So just being aware of that and sensitive to what's going on with everyone. I'll give you a couple more examples of the practice strategies we've been doing. This was the second week. So we did koala, caribou, kangaroo. Yes, they're all animal themed. No, there's no reason for that other than it's fun to put animals on my face on the screen, and dance around with them and try and point at them. Oh, kids find this hilarious. I was saying this the other day. I pointed the right way, look at that. I keep pointing the wrong way and they think it's hilarious that I can't do that. Koala, kangaroo, caribou, I said them in the wrong order, was slow, medium, fast. That's all that is. Slow, medium, fast. But this has opened up a great discussion with the kids. So I demonstrate it, they try it, and then we try it with another bit, and then they play something for each other. This has been great for opening up a discussion about which one feels the hardest. Everyone always agrees that caribou, the medium speed one, feels the easiest, but it's about 50-50 whether they say koala is harder or kangaroo is faster, as in slow is harder or faster is harder. You understand what I'm saying? So that's been an interesting one. because then it opens up this discussion. Okay, why is it harder to play slower? And some of them, one very astute young 7-year-old kid the other day, quite a new student, said, oh, well, it's harder actually because I notice that I'm making mistakes and I actually have to fix them. Whereas when I'm going faster, I don't. Which is just beautifully honest and so, so true. Do you have any students who claim that playing faster is easier? Does anyone have those? I've had lots of students who say, oh, I can't do it slow. Like, well, then you can't do it fast. That's the truth. Cheyenne or Shen? Yeah, sorry about the pronunciation of your name. Do parents attend those lessons? No, they do not. I mean, they have to set up the Zoom, especially for younger students. But no, they don't have to be in the room or anything like that. Lee, I'm just, maybe you meant now, join in. Where do you get those animal stamps from? That, like I said, you would need, to do it my way, you need Ecamm Live, and then you can just, put in clip art or whatever for your animals. But it's much simpler to use a Zoom stamp, so I would suggest doing it that way if you're not using Ecamm Live. Yeah. So that was the second practice strategy, and then we played another game. I'll show you another one of those. So, by the way, these games, these online games, were totally inspired by members putting these together, the slides versions. And so I did official versions, as it were, with the last edition of games. This one came out on the 1st of May, and it has a slide version. And I'm quite proud of this one because it kind of jumps around in a fun way. Sorry, I started it in the middle there. But the way this works is you can click on a card and then it'll open that card. So I get them to choose, and they say pink H, name every tempo term that you know, and then you click on the number of candles you want to show, and then you can go back, and then they say green K, oops, and that says play all the G's on the piano as fast as you can, and that looks totally wacky on a Zoom call with everyone all together, but it's really fun. So some of these I have them do them one by one, and some I say, okay, all go right now, right? So that's fun. And the last practice strategy I taught them, which was just last week, is Beaky Rhythms, otherwise known as rhythm repeats, which just means they have to clap and then tap. The tap is only if there's a hands together, right? So clap the right hand or clap the main rhythm. If it's in the right or the left, that's more complicated. And then tap both hands together, right taps right, left taps left. And then the beaky part is they play just on any 2 notes. So ba 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 or whatever it is with just 2 fingers, and then they play it as written. So clap or tap, any 2 single notes, 1 in each hand, and then as written. That's Beaky Rhythms. So we learned that last week, and actually, for the most part, a lot of the same students will show up for these lessons, for these sessions, the ones that it suits, So we reviewed the previous 2, and I'm going to keep doing that because that was really great to go back over the strategies that we had already done, review those and talk about when we might use this one and when we might use that one. And I really think it's starting, it takes a while, but it's starting to bleed through into their general practice. They're telling me gradually that, oh yeah, I did try that out during this week on this piece. And that's great because it's so hard to get students, I have a whole book about this. It's so hard to get students to really practice effectively. And this is just one more thing along that journey. And as I said, it's also just a great connection for them to other kids in the studio. Helen, yes, I do find that beginners can join in these sessions. I'm very careful with how I design it and which games I'm choosing, that they all work for every level of student. And so, I make sure that they work for everyone. It takes a bit of care, but it's worth it, in my opinion. Janelle said, one of my intermediate students is working on a tricky song. Last week she said, wow, I really need to step up my game or just play this song slower. Loved her honesty. Yes, that's fab, Janelle. Very, very true. There was a question a while back about something else. Let me know if you have any follow-up questions about practice with pals, but that's basically how it works. That's the basic format, and it's been working really well for me. This was the one, Ken. I've been having some issues with using Zoom. Was wondering if I'm the only one having lagging problems with Zoom. Yeah, Ken, basically it's your internet connection, I'm sorry to say, or it's theirs. If it's with particular students, it's theirs. If it's with all students, or, it's fairly consistent, it's yours. And you need to improve your internet connection. That is not the only thing that could be wrong, but it is by far the most likely thing that is happening, is that your upload speed is too slow. And no matter what video call software you use, some will randomly be better than others, but in general, no matter which one you use, if your upload speed is not strong enough, it just can't handle it. It's as simple as, there's no workaround that will magically make that work. If you can plug an Ethernet cable into your computer to be plugged in directly into the modem rather than using Wi-Fi, that will help. And check out our troubleshooting video here on the Colourful Keys channel for more tips on that and troubleshooting ideas for you. But hopefully that gives you somewhere to start with. Jacob, I can't keep this idea for me because it was so much fun last Friday. So here it is. We used to watch together to attend live music performances, which is basically... we used Watch Together, that's the name of a thing, sorry, to attend live music performances, which is basically a YouTube playlist that I built. Yeah, like a premiere on YouTube, but or like a Facebook watch party, but on YouTube. That's cool. Faye said I bought a router booster, so that's a tip for you, Ken, if that might work, because my studio is not used close to the modem and had an Ethernet port go to my computer. It does make a big difference to be plugged in. Wi-Fi just isn't actually that reliable. Still, we think we've come so far with internet stuff. Actually, Wi-Fi is not that good. Even with a pretty good internet connection, it's better to be plugged in. Yeah, awesome. So, that is practice with pals. I'll let you in on a little secret. My brain has started worrying about whether this could work over the long term. As in, could we have something like this once a week, maybe even every day? Probably not, but this is what my brain has started digesting is, could this be like a homework club that they do in school? So if they don't have homework clubs in your area, it's where students basically just stay in school, or they go to a neighbouring creche or childminder who does a homework club, and they just come directly after school with their books and everything. They do their homework there, and then they go home. Now, whether or not kids should be getting the amount of homework that they're getting is another story. But I'm thinking, could we have like a practice club? Could this be a thing that we do on Zoom? Maybe especially for older students, like preteens, teens, to bring them together, to practice together more often, to do practice strategies, and just to have a coach there that walks them through it. I don't know, but that's what I've started worrying about inside my brain. Definitely we're keeping it for the time being anyway in my studio, because it's been a great way to bring kids together, as has our composition collaboration project, which I shared with you guys on Friday. And yeah, we'll see where it goes. We'll see where all this group stuff goes from here. Coming up on this show, on Wednesday, we have a special guest. And I'm really excited about this because this special guest has just done their recital, and I don't have mine for another week and a half, or like almost 2 weeks. I'm taking a slightly different approach, but I definitely think we can learn from Jennifer Fox, who's going to be coming on the show on Wednesday. Talk about her recital, how that went, how online lessons are going for her, what new fun things she's trying, because she always has awesome ideas, and what she's doing about the summer, because Jennifer is big on camps. And I mean, I'm not sure until I chat with her properly how that's going in Arizona, but I don't think they're releasing from lockdown enough to do camps. So we're going to have a chat about where she's at and how the recital went and all of her tips that she has to share with you guys on Wednesday. So make sure to come back here again then. This is the time in Dublin time. It's 3 p.m. on Wednesday, and then Friday is going to be another solo show with me. And if you need access to... Sorry, that's a big pile of animals. If you need access to Vibrant Music Teaching membership, if you need resources for your online lessons right now, then you can sign up using the coupon code ONLINE to get a 1-week trial for just $1 to get access to everything you need right now without worrying about financial nonsense. Okay. Thank you all so much for joining me. It's been fantastic to see so many people live on every one of these calls and to get a bit of community here in the chat and to have some regulars, right? Now that we've settled in and we've had quite a few sessions here, there's go-to people who are showing up in the chat each and every time, which I love. Thank you all so much again, and I will see you on Wednesday with Jennifer Fox. See you then, guys.